Welcome to Oregon Voters Digest, the program that brings forward the social and political issues that are important to people living here in the Pacific Northwest. And now, your host, Bruce Broussard.
Welcome again to this segment of the Oregon Voters Digest. I'm Bruce Broussard, your host. Well, in all due respect to all of you who are looking at the program and getting our feedback and whatever, you are part of this program. This is what it's all about. And in all due respect, what we're going to do this time around, as you know, elections are over with right now. Your ballots are in, they were counted, and some folks were elected, and some folks were not elected. But the fact of the matter is, what we're going to do, we're going to focus on our city. We're going to focus on our city tonight. The results of the election and its impact on our city and where we will be going. And that's what we're going to be doing tonight. And I've got two guys that are going to be with us tonight. And that's Jack Kerfoot and Fred Stewart. You've seen these guys before, and both have been in at the beginning of our positioning and whatever here on the Oregon Voters Digest. And I think we're going to have a good show. We're going to have a good show. And so just sit back, get your coffee, get your tea, and just take it easy, and maybe call your neighbors, if you will, because that's what it's going to take of us knowing what's going on. We're going to even ask you to share the show with some of your neighbors and a number of the ones who play around with those with your own publication. That little technical piece is called that. Where is it at? Where is it? This piece right here. Everybody's familiar with that one, right? Everybody's familiar with that one. I know Fred is. Okay, good. Yep. So with that, why don't we just go on and open it up? And again, this is cold call. This is just layman's kind of a deal. This is not a sophisticated deal. This is just basically getting it down to nuts and bolts. What impacts you? What are you looking forward to, city? So that's where we're going to be going, if you will. And so now with that, we're going to just start off with, Fred, I tell you what, we're going to give you the opportunity because you're the realtor. You're out there. I know you're listing properties and this, that, and the other, and you're seeing a number of things. What's on your mind? Well, what's the impact of one? First, let's talk about the lay of the land. Okay, what do you think right off the bat? Then we'll get down to the
lay of the land. We've got a better city council than we had before the election.
Okay,
much better than we had a year ago. I'm excited about Carmen Rubio coming on. I'm excited about Dan. I'm excited about Mingus getting on. I'm glad Mayor Wheeler won again. And I'm hoping that Joanne will grow up here pretty soon and just lick her wounds and accept that, she's probably hit the wall as far as she's going to go for now on this police reform thing. The police reform bill passed. There's no reason to defund the police. Now it comes down to who's going to be on this committee, management of this committee, and gathering of the values of the community. There's a lot of other work to be done that I think Joanne is well suited to do. I hope she focuses on that. I think we got a great opportunity here. I hope these guys don't blow it. I've talked to a couple of people who used to be city commissioners and mayors, and they're kind of feeling the same way. We got a good feeling about this group. We're happy that Chloe's gone. Very happy that Sarah didn't win. Now it's time to start building the city back. And when I say building the city back, is we're still riding on fumes of decisions that people who are long gone, sometimes dead, that were on city council made. We got to start making some good decisions again. And we got to start, getting some real leadership again. And a good place for them to start is to start cracking the heads of these people who are intimidating an elected city commissioner. Never in the history of Portland would somebody do that and feel they're going to get away with it. I mean, the last time somebody tried that I know of was back during Vietnam. And people jokingly in Portland go, "You ever seen those guys again?" You know what I mean? This is an elected official, guys. And I think what's bad right now is the Portland police is giving the city commission and the city of Portland a taste of what it looks like not having what we would call active law enforcement.
Okay, why don't you sort of hold a little bit what you got right now? Let's get Jack in, and then we'll start having our discussion, okay?
Okay.
Let's get the intro. Okay, Jack, what's your opening?
Well, I'm going to start with a bit of history, actually, Bruce. On November 9th and 10th in 1938, in Germany, it was called the Night of Broken Glass. And that's when the Nazi party the fascists, went on a rampage, destroying businesses and burning synagogues. Well, yes, and on the 4th and 5th of November, we had a church broken into, that was actually serving food to the homeless. And then the next night, because Commissioner Dan Ryan did not vote the way a group of these people wanted, they decided to vandalize his home. So to me, this is completely unacceptable. So I'm appalled by this action. My comment is, these may be the fascists that people say they don't want in our city, but effectively this violence, this approach toward destruction is not for the good of our city, it's undermining our city. Right now, if you were to sit down honestly and put a blank piece of paper and on one side write, what are the reasons for a business to come to Portland and to set up shop in Portland, especially downtown? And on another column, come down with reasons not to come here. Quite candidly, if we were really honest, we've recognized the reasons not to come to Portland would be a formidable list. We're also faced with the fact that Intel is seriously evaluating outsourcing the production of their chip facility, which is one of the largest employers in Portland, which means our Oregon facility would be closed down. Nike is going through massive layoffs, reported to be 700 employees. And on top of that, we are seeing a resurgence of the COVID virus, which will do more to undermine the communities and the restaurants downtown. We need real leaders, and I'm optimistic that we've now got new city commissioners in place that can start to recruit businesses to our city and to be pro-business, to help our economy to turn around and to create jobs for our city.
Okay, that's a good start. Now, I'll tell you what, guys, let's go back to the electorate now. I mean, the actual composition of the city council and the like. Actually, we've got the mayor, and we had two other people that joined him just recently, and one who had joined, I guess, in September or so, and with Rubio and whatever. And then I guess the thing that I'm throwing out to is that how did they get there, and where were they getting the support, if you will? Now, from the mayor's standpoint, remember the mayor's standpoint, we had and I'm going to throw this out, hopefully for discussion that you guys get right on in this piece. He had a definition of his own. Everybody wanted him out, okay? And what changed? I want to talk to that piece from that aspect of it. And then all of a sudden, he's back in the spotlight again, and all the three major newspapers supported him. I mean, totally supported him, big time. And there was only two people running. Actually, Sarah Ann, she was running against him, but she ended up with 12. She was when they did the poll on her, she was 12 points ahead. He was 12 points behind. 12 points behind. Okay, so given that, Fred, why don't we just start off with you and what do you think about the election between both Sarah and Wheeler?
Bruce, first off, polls suck. They are so wrong. There is no way Sarah was ever 12 points ahead of Ted Wheeler. I mean, you can do a poll any way you want. They just asked a bunch of people who didn't like Ted, hey, are you going to vote for Ted? And they said no. No, Ted was always ahead. There was no way Sarah was going to win. If you look at it, she lost handily. Maybe a bunch of young people voted for it and stuff, but nobody's ready for a leader of Antifa to be the mayor of a major city yet. I mean, no. Now, as far as Ted, not everybody wanted him out. That's unfair. That's not right. Obviously, that's not the case when you look at how many people voted for him, Bruce. He's always had a lot of support. I've not been happy with the decisions. You haven't been happy with the decisions, but come on, guys. Really? Sarah? Now that the race is over with, the only reason I kept my mouth shut is that the historical point that people don't pay attention to is this is the closest a campaign run by a black person has ever come to electing a significant person in Oregon.
Okay.
In any race, governor, city council,
Right.
in any major race. And I congratulate Gregory McKelvey for the excellent work that he did. He did an incredible job. We should all be proud of him.
And that's the campaign manager for
and that's
Sarah.
his campaign manager. He had him on this
make
show.
Sure the people knew that.
That guy is already a historical figure. I don't think he was one before. He's just a young kid. But I think he's crossed that line to something significant.
What about the newspapers? You didn't mention anything about the support.
The newspapers are becoming more and more irrelevant, and you can see how irrelevant they are by how many people they endorsed didn't win, and also look at what Just Willamette Week did with Chloe Daly. I mean, come on, the newspapers every election cycle are becoming less and less relevant. Social media and stuff like that's becoming more and more relevant. And by 2024, I don't know where the newspapers are going to fit in unless they find a way to revamp themselves. Okay, they're going to have to start hiring more black people. That's for sure.
But what about the ads in the ads that were depicted for against Sarah? Remember the ads? You saw some of the large ads.
Bruce, I mean, you're giving Sarah's campaign a lot more credit. Most people born before 1970 were not going to vote for her. Most people in Portland, no matter how liberal they were, she's Antifa. Okay, we got a skinhead that got biased 4 years ago. That was Chloe. People are, they say what Chloe's done. They took a risk with Chloe, and she went sideways. They looked over at Sarah, and Sarah wasn't. If it wasn't for Gregory, Sarah wouldn't have been a credible person at all. Okay. I mean, most of her answers to even your questions, Bruce, really weren't answers to anything. Women didn't have a clue what she was going to do for the city.
Let's get Jack involved in the deal. We'll have a little discussion more. Jack, what do you think?
I think it's fair to recognize that there was a significant number of write-in ballots for the mayor election.
True. Mm-hmm.
And if there had, for instance, if whoever, again, they never publish the actual write-in ballots unless they actually think there's a chance the write-in can actually win the majority of the election. So we can only assume that it's the two candidates that were out sending out flyers. So my comment would be, if many of those, I would assume that many of those voters might have voted for Sarah in that particular case. I think the election was much closer than people realized if we take out the write-in ballot. Clearly, what that tells me is there was a substantial number of people that were not happy with either candidate. I thought Sarah did give some very good answers, and she gave more detail to some of the questions than I've heard Mayor Wheeler give, and I was too very disappointed with some of the results that or the lack of results Mayor Wheeler has delivered over the past 4 years. 2016, I heard a lot of encouraging platform statements made by then candidate Wheeler, and I saw very, very few of those actually delivered. So I was very disappointed with Mayor Wheeler, and I thought Sarah ran a credible race, and I think Gregory did an outstanding job. I think quite candidly, and I'll quote the Portland Tribune, they said that quite candidly, Mayor Wheeler's candidate had a ceiling and couldn't really elevate her campaign. I'm not sure I would agree with that, but I think we got a lot of distraction by a lot of noise over Antifa and associating her with things that only thing she said is she was against the fascists. And as you just heard, I'm against the fascists that went and attacked Dan Ryan's home and attacked the church where they're trying to help the homeless. So from that standpoint, I'm not sure Sarah and I are that far apart on certain aspects of her platform.
Jack, you're far apart from Sarah. People who grew up here, people who live here, we remember Sarah from like 10 years ago. Sarah is Antifa. Now, she separated herself back about 6 years ago when she decided to run for mayor, because, even 5 or 6 years ago, you couldn't run for mayor and be active with Antifa. But people who are here, like me, people who grew up here, people have been voting here for years, you know what I mean? We know where she came from. And she couldn't hide it. She tried to hide it. She can't hide it. But, look, guys, and I agree with you everything you said about write-in candidates. I do feel Ted lucked out. Maybe if there had been a better candidate that could have gotten some support, like you, Bruce, maybe things would have been different.
Well, on that particular point that you just made about us, in all due respect, we tried to give her some respect. We tried to balance it because two people were running, and the people were looking, if you will, for the most effective leadership to deal with the issues that we were putting on the table. We spent quite a bit of time educating the public about defining what is Antifa, what was that all about. We've had her on. We did a piece with her talking about Antifa. Gregory got on, he talked about Antifa aspect of it. We spent some time on that. And I think that was the key. We were trying to get to the issues, and we were trying to set this so-called negative thing on the side. That wasn't the issue that we were concerned. The concerns were basically the whole issue of the homeless issues, the downtown situation. That's what we were trying to focus on. But the bottom line is that let's give credit to another group, and that was the business community. If you notice, the business community were running those ads, and they listed them. And the real estate, part of the real estate community supported Wheeler as opposed to her. And they threw some major ads out there along that particular line.
Bruce, good.
That was interesting. And so, in all due respect, buddy, they spent some $300,000 in ads. $300,000.
Bruce, that's not much.
No, but I'm just saying they spent and that was just a Tribune.
Bruce, that's not much. Yeah, they spent over $3 million in '92 when the race was between Blumenauer and what's her name, Vera Katz. So $300,000 a day, that's not much.
Sarah, we're not talking about the $300,000. We're talking about the issues. Got me? And so
she was not a good one.
We give credit to the Oregon Voters Digest for doing that, and with you guys sitting here, that's what we were trying to do.
Oh yeah, Bruce, I give you credit, but
no, not me. Just listen to what I'm saying. Yeah. Just hold on for a minute. We're talking about issues, and that's what we're talking about right now. We want the public to understand. We understand what they were talking about. We want to make sure that that these two people, well, now the mayor, if you will be addressing that. And those folks who supported that, fine. Because the business community is going to be very, very important to this whole issue also. So realistically, I like the idea that they're at the table. And so consequently, Wheeler has to stand up, if you will, and respond, if you will, to some of the issues now that we were talking about during that particular time. So that's kind of like what I wanted to make sure we got that across. Now, as far as the other support aspect of it, Joanne was very much involved in that piece. That she had supported the mayor initially on that whole piece, and then she switched from her, and then at the same time, Sarah had already said that she was going to go on and appoint Joanne to the police commissioner. We went through that piece, so that stuff was on the table also too. But at the end of the day, the mayor was thinking about on the front end. He had to get 2 other votes. He needed 3 votes out of that 5 votes in order to run his program. And now he has those 3 votes. And if you know, just jump right into today's piece aspect of it. They just had a vote, if you will, on the whole issue of the reforms with the police department on the budget aspect of it. And at the end of the day, he basically called the meeting right away before the other 2 people got on and said, okay, fine, we're going to vote on this issue.
Hey, Bruce?
So that's where we are now.
Bruce,
okay?
In 1985,
what do you think about that?
Bruce, in 1985, do you know who was police commissioner in 1985?
No, who was it?
It was Dick Bogle. And do you know what the chief of police, before he had that infamous breakfast with the mayor at Fat City, do you know what that police chief told the police commissioner, Dick Bogle, a former cop himself? Told him to kiss his ass. And guess what? There's nothing Dick Bogle could do about it. Not one thing. So the next day, well, no, I heard this from the horse's mouth. So anyway, the next day he sits down with the mayor and he tells the mayor that he wanted some information that the mayor decided that they couldn't have. And he says, Mayor Clark, read my lips. I want those documents on my desk by the end of the day today. And you know what Bud Clark told me he said to the guy? The actual words, and he just told me this 24 hours ago. He says, read my lips. I'm accepting your resignation. That's what Bud Clark told me. Now, this is why I'm sharing that story with you. Every time I hear this stuff about a city commissioner being police commissioner, I know that that's being thrown out to distract people, because in the history of Portland, Oregon, going back to 1910, it has never worked, Bruce.
Be brief. We got a lot to go through.
No, I know, but Bruce, it's never worked. What we need is either a change in the charter. Hold it. We either need a change in the charter, or we need the mayor, who has the power over the police, to step up and be a real leader, like that mayor we had in 1985. We don't have that right now.
Sounds great. Okay, good. So we went back and forth with the mayor piece, but the fact of the matter is, the business community is at the table now. We know that's for fact aspect of it. He's got his other 2 votes for sure. He definitely got his 2 votes. He's got his 3 votes that he's going to, as you say, he's going to retain the commissioner. And then you never know. Things may change. But the fact of the matter is, he's not calling all the shots. People are now calling the shots. You know, the business community is right there, because they basically want to make sure that they clean up that city downtown and deal with the issue of the economics aspect of it. Now, as far as maps is concerned, minutes, right? Minutes. He basically is there, and naturally, the neighborhood association was another huge component to that piece. Now that's pretty well settled, and we got someone that has background. That would be basically his lane. What do you think about that, Jack? What do you think?
Well, clearly that's his background. Before, he was very well respected by the neighborhood associations, and he came out and supported to oppose the position that Commissioner Udaley put forward, which was to eliminate the neighborhood associations, even though that she or her staff had not met with any of the neighborhood associations. So he came out to support they not do away with it. I actually gave testimony to support that, because I thought the fact that they would even consider that without meeting with the neighborhood associations, I thought was a breach of trust with the city commission. And then Commissioner Udaley tried to push through the proposal, but that was not approved. So I think he brings that background as well. I think you'll also find when people describe Mingus, they talk about him as someone that builds bridges. And unfortunately, that's not a case with Commissioner Udaley. From many aspects I've seen from the business community whatsoever, she has pushed for what she believes are progressive rent control policies, but that's actually caused, her policy has actually caused rents to escalate. And more importantly, it's causing many developers to pull out and not do any rental properties whatsoever. If they have a rental property, they're now looking to simply sell it, because they feel it's not a way to maintain or generate a revenue or a small business from that standpoint. When I was campaigning, I talked to businessmen in construction and building who had small real estate holdings across the city. And the comments I heard is they were being advised by their accountants to pull out of the investments in Portland, because it was not a place that you should invest in. This is not a city of the future. This is a city of the past. And that was very disturbing to hear that. I think Mingus will be a very positive step forward over Commissioner Udaley.
Okay, and let's go back with Dan. With Dan, let's talk about Dan for a moment in terms of how he fits in the whole scenario. Well, you know, he's had quite a bit of background, if you will, as far as the school district is concerned, school, and also the fact and the homeless situation. They still don't have a plan, so that's going to be an asset there, because in all due respect, that was not Will's background to a certain degree. But I could see Dan really spending some time on the whole issue of the homelessness aspect of it, because that is a major issue aspect of it. And so that's another issue. And then Rubio, in all due respect, he's the first Latino or Hispanic there on the city council aspect of it. And you know, we've got in this city, we've got kind of like a drawing card. I mean, everybody's coming to this city and utilizing the whole issue of sanctuary city aspect of it. And in fact, they've been, like the police of late, for that matter, have picking these folks up now. Got me? And then it's letting people know that these people from out of town, this, that, and the other. And so there needs to be a discussion on the whole issue of who are residing here now at this point. I'm talking about the activists, if you will. We got to deal with those issues. So I can hopefully she can maybe be a part of it. She was very much involved, well, with several other elected officials. She worked at the city, she worked at the county. I mean, she was all across the board. So I think that might be another way of another person who I just brought her name in just right off the bat. The fact of the matter is, we got some very responsible people on that piece. So, Fred, what do you think? Real briefly, we got about another 3 or 4 minutes.
Like I told you before, I think we've got in January. It's not there yet, but in January we're going to have probably the best city commission we've had since 2004, and we got a great opportunity here. Ted's going to have to put on his big boy pants, and we got some people who are going to have to make some hard decisions, especially when it comes to law enforcement. Ted's going to have to do that. You know, Mingus says he wants to make some changes with the charter. He's going to have to eventually work on that. He's not going to be able to work on that, I'm sure, the first 6 months he's commissioner, but there's some tweaking that needs to be done. You know, like I said earlier, when I pointed out that city commissioners can't be good police commissioners, I'm not saying it shouldn't be changed. Just saying the history, how it is, you know. But we do need to make some changes all throughout the city, and I think we got a group of people that if they work together, like commissioners used to, and stop allowing themselves to be distracted by the BS from, you know, the media, I think they'll be fine. I think they'll be able to come together and do something. It's really going to hinge a lot on, like I said, Ted. Ted's going to have to be something he's never had to be, you know, and that's tough. You know, I've made every city commissioner, former one that I've talked to since Tuesday, laugh about this, you know, and I said, you know, a lot of people don't understand that to be a good city commissioner, I don't care how friendly you are, nice, you are a bully. It's the way the system's made, you know, and you got to have some sort of grit or swagger, if you will, and you got to be, you know, focused. You can't let yourself be distracted too much. And I think these guys that we've got right now, they got the potential. So I'm going to have, you know, nothing but positive thoughts and hopes for now. And I even have hopes that Joanne grows up soon, because Joanne, you know, the honeymoon's over with her. If she doesn't show that she should be there within the first 6 months of next year, there's going to be a long line of people trying to take her job in 2022. She's still got a little time to right her ship. A lot of people still have a lot of faith in her. I know I do. I'm sure you guys do too. But her honeymoon period is over with. Between January 1st and summer of next year, she better come through with the goods that people have been depending on her to bring. And I think she will. I mean, I'm not saying this criticism like I'm thinking she can't do it or won't do it. I'm just saying to Joanne, if she watches this, it's time to get off the pot now. You know, you got to come through. You got, you know, she's got the brain power, and I think she's got the clout. She just has to make good decisions and stop allowing herself to be distracted. That's all.
And in all due respect, she can really represent the blacks in the Northeast Portland too, because that's where she was. She had that lane. And you know, when you start thinking about her, the OJTing aspect of it, and kind of getting acquainted with what's going on with the city and dealing with issues and dealing with that format, Wheeler falls in the same category. See, so he's had his 4 years, if you will, of OJTing himself. So in fact, I saw that on his news break when all of a sudden Venice won, and then you got Dan. He had his free vote. The guy was kind of relaxed, and the fact that the business community came there and supported it. Because in all due respect, those entities had not fallen in place. Sarah was a little bit more organized. She would have been the mayor, and in all due respect, we would have had some problems. We're gonna be right back with you, and we're gonna continue this conversation, and we're gonna jump right in this whole issue of what is police reform. Okay, folks, we'll be right back. Thanks, guys. Welcome back, folks. I guess you hope you're enjoying this particular show. Again, we like to say we're keeping it very simple, if you will. We're really talking to the folks who are paying the bills. I'm talking about the renters and the residents, if you will, of our beautiful city, and we're trying to get it back together. And we're going to do everything we can to back up the people who are there. We're not going to spend time talking about the negative side of them or who they are, or that aspect of it. We want to help them out because we don't need to go through that same situation we went through the last group. I'm sure that they're good folks too, but the fact of the matter is we weren't there during that particular time. Now we are there, and hopefully our contribution to solving some of the city's problem was well taken. Because I've gotten a lot of kudos and a lot of calls along the lines of people who are looking at the show, and then at the same time the team that's on here now today, and some of the other guys that participated really were assets because they too shared this information with the residents out there, and so I want to thank them all for. I want to make sure that gets out there on the table. Very, very important. Now let's get right back to the point, and our focus was the city of Portland, and where do we go from here, and what about the plans? Another kudo we want to give out to, in all due respect, I'm sure glad he was still in town because at one point in time, he used to be the chief of police of Portland Police. And I'm talking about Mike Reese. And, as you know, Mike Reese went to the county, and there he sits now. He's the sheriff. He's the sheriff of the county. And he's also the jailer too, aspect of it. But it was Mike Reese. I give him credit for that. He's the one that put that package together because, in all due respect, the politics was so negative for Portland Police that they could not take the lead on the whole issue with the downtown protesting aspect of it. And Mike came on and we all know, and just for those who didn't know, remember we had the Proud Boy situation now with Alberta Park. And we were anticipating all kinds of problems. Everybody was worried, if you will. And folks were just having they were just having a gang thing. I mean, they was having all kinds of fun, if you will, as far as the rioters and this, that, and the other. They were just licking their chops. But guess what? It ended up successfully. We had that was a weekend that was taken out, and the National Guard was involved, the state police was involved, Portland Police was involved, the sheriff department was involved. It was a group, if you will, and they were organized. They had a plan. And as a result of that, we had participation in the 3 parks, if you will, and that was part of the plan. 3 parks, everybody was divided accordingly, aspect of it, and it was just great. And so I give credit. I'll be right up front. I give credit to the person who knew and who had the background, and that was Mike Reese. And if you guys want to comment on that, whether it be Jack or Fred, let's get Jack in there first real quick, Fred, and then I'll get you in there. What do you think about that? Mike Reese, and what do you think about the idea of maintaining that? So that means that the mayor now has a group to deal with. He has someone that can take on that responsibility for the whole issue, and we can clean up downtown too at the same time. Okay, got me? Now we know where the money is being spent. Now we know where the money is being spent. The place is going to be cleaned up. And we got a DA. I got to give him some kudos too. I didn't like that first approach initially, but the fact of that is, and then there's some things that we can talk about that. Maybe not yet, but I like the idea. The guy is a very responsible guy. So he's got quite a team. The mayor's got quite a team for the city of Portland. What do you think, Jack?
Well, I think if we just go back a year when the Proud Boys came to Portland and what kind of chaos that we had with the anti-Proud Boys, anti-right wing, and we had demonstrations that erupted into fights, which erupted into violence, which erupted into just destruction downtown, just attacks of individuals that weren't part of either side of that. And now we fast forward to where we were before. And so clearly that is a job well done. And job well done usually means people know what they're doing. They're very well organized. So what you have is perhaps the mayor is now putting together, like you say, a team that can work together with him to make sure our city, that the freedom of speech is still maintained, the people's right to have a demonstration and to speak their mind is still maintained, but we do it peacefully. And we do not attack innocent bystanders. We do not attack other people whatsoever. We express our opinions, our freedom of speech, may disagree with some of the freedom of speech of the Proud Boys, but from that standpoint, they still have a right to speak their minds, and we do it peacefully. So the fact that he was able to do that, and assuming the coordination and approval of Mayor Wheeler, is a job well done. So good job to everyone on that team that was able to accomplish that, because I really expected really bad violence from that meeting.
Right. Hey, what do you think about the new law enforcement team? The idea between the National Guard, well, the governor participated in that whole piece too. But the fact of the matter is, the mayor now can deal with other issues, and he should be familiar with a lot of the issues. And one of the major issues is the whole issue with the protesting downtown and the whole issue of law enforcement and safety and whatever. So he's got quite a team. What do you think about that team concept with Mike Reese leading that charge?
Well, Mike Reese, I don't know what he's giving you. Was it a fifth of Glenfiddich? What did he give you to blow smoke up his nose like this? Bruce, you're acting like the Portland police aren't federalized anymore. And you're acting like that there's no federal officers conducting operations in Portland right now. And you're acting like the leaders like Joey Gibson and some others, they're dealing with some court cases in federal court right now. And they really don't need any more evidence going on right now. Their leadership is being attacked both criminally through investigations and civilly through lawsuits that are in play right now. And then you guys are ignoring the Portland police are federalized, and Trump sent at least 200 federal agents. They're not doing crowd control, but he didn't pull them out of Portland. They're out arresting people. They're out conducting operations. And I mean, I'm not saying Reese isn't doing his part, but there's a lot of things going on, Bruce, that I think contributed that we're not going to hear about until after the smoke clears, and that's after this is passed. And the big one that I think you should pay attention to, Bruce, is the leadership of the Proud Boys. All of them are under siege right now, both criminally through investigations and civilly from lawsuits. Okay? These guys don't need more evidence. So they're telling their people to do exactly what Trump said. Stand down right now. But this thing, you know, I'm worried over the next few days here. I mean, I can see this powder keg going off if Biden wins. I could see it going off. You know, somebody's going to, is going to vent. Somebody's going to get upset. I'm not sure that the Proud Boys in this market, maybe nowhere. I don't think the leaders have enough, let's say, influence that we're going to need if things don't go their way. You know, and I'm very, very concerned about that if Trump should lose. I'm concerned either way, guys. I think if Trump wins, we're going to get, some crazies. And if Trump loses, we're going to get some crazies. And they're going to look very similar. Bunch of under 40-year-old white folks pissed off. There's not going to be guys your age or my age out there throwing rocks. Now, another thing I too want to point out, Bruce, downtown Portland is not a success.
No, wait a minute. Let's get back on the focus what we're talking about now. We're talking about the city of Portland.
No, I'm talking about the city. I'm saying what you're saying about them controlling these guys. I mean, Bruce, I drove downtown Portland yesterday, and it's all boarded up. It's a ghost town down there, except for homeless people and stuff like that. No, Mike Reese, the chief of police, the mayor of Portland, there is no kudos to give anybody for any successes. It is bad down there. And our current DA, I'm glad that he's finally going to charge somebody, but so far his policies have done our market no good. And he's got a long road to walk to get us to where we need to be. And and even though he's charged a couple of guys with low-level crimes kind of for what they've done, he didn't go as hard against him as he should. He's got a lot more people. He's got a lot more behinds to chase, and let's see if he's up for it. We're right now an easy mark. We got people coming to Portland, Oregon, just to destroy things in Portland, Oregon.
Okay. All right. Good point. Well, let's check this out. And the reason why I brought that up, and I'm glad you brought those points up. I've been looking at the tube, if you will, every day, at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning aspect of it. And just like I said, just the most current one is the fact that they had those photos of these guys who had been vandalizing downtown, and had been arrested, if you will. And they had their photos. That was the first time I saw photos, if you will. And again, I'm giving the kudos to Mike. I mean, they've got a plan, and they're saying, "Oh, as if to say, if that person gets released or gets this, that, and the other comes back on the street, people will recognize that particular person." That's the best thing to do, because that was one of the major problems. I mean, here was TV was basically showing these people basically vandalizing, and they had their photos and everything else, and they weren't being arrested. And then they come back, get up, and come back the next day and do the same thing all over again. So that's why I'm making my point, is that it's nice to have somebody like a Mike Reese, who was a former Portland police, who now is the jailer, and who's now the elected sheriff aspect of it. He's familiar with the area aspect of it. So it's not like someone we just hired. You know, we went on and did a search, and then we got him hired. No, the guy got some background, and he has a plan, and I could see it. I could see some things happening very positive, and we need positive stuff, if you will. We don't need to go back the same old way aspect of it. So it's not my point of. I don't want to criticize anybody. We went through that. We went through that, and then the last time around, not anymore. Let's see what we can do this time and go proactive with this particular group. Like you said, you like the idea of the city council piece. Well, you got to have law enforcement. You know what I mean? We're still talking about the whole issue of downsizing the police department and this, that, and other, and just getting right into that arena. You're talking about the budget, and you got Joanne. Well, like I said, she is there. She's a city council person. She's very familiar with the community aspect of it. And you know we've been yelling about, in all due respect, the black community's been yelling about the lack of blacks on the city council. Well, we got someone. Okay, fine. So we give the idea she OJT for a while. But you're right. She's got skills. She's got a good mind. So let's help her with the plan. Let's make sure she's part and parcel of the entire council, the city council, so that we can have a safe city of roses, all this thing. We can't afford racism anymore. I'll throw that out to you. We can't afford racism anymore. I mean, yes, and it's still sitting there. But how are we going to get to the next step? Are we going to be going through the same deal again? We got Black Lives Matter that we still have to talk to, and how do they fit into the city? I'm still looking for a leader within that particular arena. There are 4 or 5 different. I've seen 4 or 5 different representatives, but I've not seen someone that just sticks out and basically say, "Okay, fine. These are the issues. These are the concerns," and educate and communicate. Educate and communicate. That's a very key issue aspect of it. Fred, what do you think about that? Let's jump now in police. I know you like the idea that Daryl Turner should be given some kudos. You've always liked Daryl Turner. You know, Daryl is leaving now. He's retired. He's retired, and he's going on, blah blah blah, and whatever. But now we've got a new president of the police, and as you know, the police wasn't taking the lead. Like I said before, Mike is the lead guy right now. But the fact of the matter is, we got a new person sitting in his seat, if you will. And Portland Police has to come back to the table. They've got to take the lead, because we're talking about the city of Portland. The city of Portland calls a shot. Right now, they're not. So we either have to work with what we already have, and we already have a chief. But the bottom line is that we got to get the chief. We got to get Portland Police back to the table, if you will, in this whole piece. So now, what do you think about the new Portland Police? That's the president aspect of it. We got the Bell aspect of it. But again, they're going through this whole issue now of a budgetary situation and this, that, and the other. But what do you think about as far as their direction, as far as planning to get them a part of the piece? What do you think?
That's me or Jack?
You.
Oh, me? Oh. Well, this new union head's got very small shoes to fill. He should do much better than Daryl. Daryl hasn't been a good representative of the Portland Police since at least 2015. So I hope he enjoys himself in Nevada and stays there. He don't need to come to Oregon no more. Now, as far as what they do, we need a union that is going to focus on working with the city on implementing the changes in a fair and professional manner with the rank and file. They're going to have to. They're going to be making some personnel decisions as far as policies that I do feel the union needs to be involved in. They don't need to be involved in anything outside of things related to active law enforcement in Portland. We don't need them giving their opinion about politics or public policy or nothing. All we need them to do is focus on their rank and file. And I hope he does that, like the old guys used to. And also be pushing for us to hire more cops, because no matter what the city council decides to do with funding, we need more police officers. We need physical bodies, and we've got a police department that is extremely difficult to nearly impossible to recruit for. I was told recently that people are openly saying not just no, but hell no to being a Portland police officer as far as recruits. And we're not the only city going through this, but we've got to be a city that's got to get through it. And I think we're on a good path. Like I said earlier, it just has to happen. You know, all of this opportunity means nothing if people don't use it. And like I said before, I think we've got a great brain trust that can get us there. And I'm not including Mike Reese on that, Bruce. I have nothing against Mike Reese, but he's sheriff. He is sheriff.
Are we going to have law enforcement? Who's going to run law enforcement?
Well, right now, law enforcement is provided through the federal government right now, Bruce. We don't have leadership at the state level or the city level. The reason why things aren't worse than they are is we got federal agents arresting people and conducting operations. That's why. Now, I ain't saying that's good, but I'm saying let's not ignore it. Let's not lie about it. It's not local. Our local people, starting with Mike Schmidt, going all the way up to the mayor of Portland, these guys, they're not doing their job in this area. And I'm hoping now that this election cycle is over with for them, that they can now focus on their responsibilities and not worry about getting elected. They don't need to be thinking about their next election for at least 2 more years.
Okay.
Right,
all right.
Right now, what they need to do is make sound decisions.
Okay. All right.
As they are listening to the community.
All right. Sounds good. That's your opinion. Okay. That's your opinion. Okay, fine. And all I did was share my opinion.
Oh, I know.
I've seen a plan because I've been really.
You're growing into being a sweet, kindly old man, Bruce.
That's why I have you on. Otherwise, you wouldn't be on.
So, you know what they say about Marines?
I'm being nice.
After you pass 80, you start getting Navy-like.
Oh, I see. That's right. That's why I'm trying to be nice to you. I mean, you're the kind that we have to really look out to. Jack, go on.
Do you have any lollipops in your pocket?
All right, Jack. Let's get Jack on here. Okay, sounds good.
We're gonna have to have a ranger come in and open up a can on Fred here if he's not careful. Well, what I would say about Daryl Turner, I have never in my life seen a head of a union, of any union, get so actively involved in politics and in this country or anywhere else around the world. And quite candidly, I thought was a distraction from the very serious issues the city was trying to address. And I'm sure it didn't, shall we say, his actions did not persuade Chief Outlaw and then the next chief and then the next chief to stay on for any protracted period of time. It was a very unstable and a very chaotic situation from that standpoint. And when I talked to the officers on the ride-alongs, they certainly didn't like the uncertainty that they had. They really weren't, as they say, weren't sure who was in charge and what direction they were going to be going. And so uncertainty in a job is not productive whatsoever. So we need to bring some stability to that standpoint. We also need to stop the hate-filled rhetoric that we have and look for ways, look at analogs at other cities, what they've done to bring about improved performance for security for our city. I do think Joanne's idea of copying an idea that was used up in Salem relative to the response force with a mental health professional as well as someone who's an EMT will help that situation. It's proved to be very productive up in Salem in the Springfield area. And it's been initially was looked at with a great deal of skepticism by the police in that area, but now they are fully supportive of that approach. And that pilot project, I was hoping they would be able to proceed with that. We don't need to eliminate the police. We need to be able to give the police the capabilities to do the job and recognize that a police officer can't be a mental health professional and an EMT and also an expert in criminal science. We're talking about multiple skill sets, multiple degrees, and although we have many highly qualified officers, there's not one of them that can do all of those aspects of jobs. So we need to look at it from an analytical standpoint and understand what it's going to take to improve the capabilities for our police and improve the security and safety of the residents of this city. Whether they're homeless or whether they have homes, I don't care. I want to improve security because that church I mentioned that was broken into, there was a homeless person sleeping in front of it, and the poor man was terrified and ran off and thought he was going to be attacked. So we don't need that. We can do better than we've been doing, but we need to stop the hate-filled rhetoric, and we need all the commissioners, including Commissioner Hardesty, who has strong opinions, and I respect that, but she needs to work with the other commissioners and the mayor to develop a better system and not shoot from the hip.
Okay. Now, the other one I want to throw on the table here is the measure that was passed that Joanne put out there, and that was 26-217. And, you know, and just in its simple form, it was kind of like an advisory board. That's really what it is. It's just an advisory board deal. I mean, there's a whole bunch of other definitions about it, but that's what it's all about. Now, here's another opportunity, if you will, where both we can define the job, if you will, or the definition of what is police work, what role do they play. I mean, whether they fit in the structure, if you will. I mean, in all due respect, they're employees, if you will, of the city. That's really their employees. And the union has always been kind of a stickler right there. Sometimes they go over bounds, you know, from the standpoint of like, and people get the feeling as if they're the mayor. Let's come out. They're the mayor. They're running the city, and this, that, and the other. Well, you know, I think there's room there now to have some discussion on that piece. One, not only just from the standpoint of the citizen, but from the police, because they're the ones that have to do the work aspect of it. And we want to make sure that they're out there doing that work. So consequently, we have the opportunity now, I think, with that. And then all due respect, Joanne brought it up for that. Here's an opportunity for her to get to the table and have that discussion between police and the city council, because she's just one vote. Someone has to take that responsibility for the city council with background in police. And she does have some background along that particular line, because that was her lane. So here's an opportunity here, and I'm just throwing this out. That's just my opinion. 26-217, if you will. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to get Craig, because I know he's got some comments on this piece, and I know he likes that idea. And in all due respect, we might even, and I got to make a little side note to Darrell Turner aspect of it. The guy's been there 10 years or whatever, and he's been there. You know, now that he's retired, you know, like anything else, he'd like to come back to City of Roses.
No, he needs to go.
That might be someone way we might be able to hire him on as a consultant. He can sit at that table with Fred.
He needs to go to New Jersey and mess up his hometown. He's done enough damage over here.
No,
he's done enough damage. He needs to go.
I had a good chat about him with you. You know, he said, Bruce, you know, he's a Marine. He's part of your deal. So, Bruce, help him out, you know, a little bit. That's all. So I said, I'm going to. I will talk to Fred. So, Fred, what I'm doing is that I'm assigning you to contact Darrell, and you guys talk about this whole issue of 26-17.
I'm going to let him get all settled in Nevada, and I'll give him a call.
And give us a report this next time around as to what he feels is some idea. You guys set it up, okay? Sounds good.
All right. Hey, Bruce.
Will you respond now to
going back to what I said earlier about Joanne, you got to remember, I was on PIAC back in the 1990s, so I know what it's like. I was on PIAC back in the 1990s, so I know what it's like. PIAC was a oversight board for the internal affairs back in the 1990s. I was on that thing for almost 6 years. And it was great. I learned a lot. I investigated a lot of cops. A great experience, but it didn't have the opportunity for influence that this new commission's got. I'm very excited about it, and I think Joanne should be focusing on making sure this thing is implemented well. Matter of fact, if I'd been her, I won't tell you which former city commissioner said this, but there was at least one city commissioner who said Tuesday night she should have dropped all efforts to defund the police and focused on this new committee when she saw that she got it. Because this is a big thing, and there's a lot to do. Her plate's going to be full just with that, and
That's
she's
right.
probably going to get where she wants to go anyway with this great advantage. And it's a great feather in her cap. It's a great opportunity, and I hope she cools her jets and focuses on it and make this thing work, because this is a great opportunity for Portland. And I look at it from the law enforcement standpoint. It's like the bottle bill in 1971. It's that unique. It's that forward thinking, that aggressive. And I really hope that she, will just jump all of her Joanne-ness into it and make it work and make it effective. And she deserves it. She's been doing this for 30 years. And it's going to be easier now that Daryl's gone. There's a couple other people that are gone who've been major distractions for the last 5 years for one reason or another. The floor is open for some good old-fashioned leadership, as they say.
That's
and
right.
I hope these guys, between now and January 1st, do what they need to do to get them in that space. And, all the old stuff from this last political cycle, let it go. Work on the future here, because this is an incredible opportunity.
Okay, that sounds good. Because we want the whole team now this time around. In fact, this next summer that's coming up, I want to make sure that I want to have a cup of coffee downtown at Strunk Plaza, if you will. I want to have have the cart there and whatever, and Jack and I'll sit down there, and you can deliver us coffee and roll, if you will. You know the point? Because you're a young man, you can use the walk anyway. That sounds good. You're a good man, Fred. So with that, take care. God bless all of you. Thanks for the whole election piece. Thanks for Fred. He's such a beautiful young man, and we're going to help him out as much as we possibly can. Have a good one with a smiling face. Take care. See you next week. Have a good one.